Without further ado, we welcome
you. 113 in your Evangelism Simplified Guidebook. If you've not received a guidebook, there's still a few books on the back of the auditorium. We are going to be using this tonight as our outline. This is going to provide for us a strategy to implement the principles and the practice that we have learned this week. I want to begin by expressing my thanksgiving to this church. You have just outperformed. And you have gone the extra mile. Jackson, that was great singing tonight. Boy, he knows how to keep timing in a song. And it's just been great for us to worship together, to study together, and to focus on the greatest mission on earth. This congregation has incredible potential. And I just cannot wait to hear of the reports that will come forth from this place. This morning in your email, you should have received Reaching the Lost. Did you receive it? Raise your hand. Did you get that? It is an incredible report. Comes out every Wednesday morning. If you didn't get it, it means that you did not give me your email address. So on the back of our table there, we have some clipboards. Make sure you, in fact, if you've not done that already, just raise your hand. Can I get Jared? Can you just make sure that everybody gets the clipboard tonight? If you've not already given us your name and email address, you need Reaching the Lost. It's an evangelistic report. It's weekly. It's also a tool. So Jared will walk around. If you've not done that already, now would be a good time to do that. So tonight, this is where we provide the strategies. Page 113. This is when we take all the principles, the 7 principles. We take the practice of back to the Bible, and we give a church a strategy for making it operational. We want you to have something that you can do, something that you can put your arms around, something that you can follow, a process that you can follow to provide a roadmap to the success of evangelism. So this is that strategy. It's 10 simple points, 10 things that you've got to put into place in order to make it operational. So let's go ahead and begin. It was Winston Churchill who said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." He stood before the Commons of England. The war was going badly. Chamberlain had made a mess of it. The country was depressed. People were feeling the effects of the nightly bombing raids. And it was Winston Churchill who picked up his nation, his fellow countrymen, and he put a plan together and he turned the tide of the war. Brethren, if you don't have a plan, you're going to fail. We cannot shoot from the hip and expect to hit the target. In order for us to achieve the success that we all want, because we all want the same thing at this church, we want the church to grow. We want souls to be saved. There's no question that is the desire of every child of God. And so it's not that we have different goals. It's how do we get there? How do we achieve the goal that's sitting before us? That plan is going to involve 10 steps that you are required to take in order to get there. Now, let's just suppose tonight you had a department store, and let's just suppose you erected an apartment store. You had a big building, and you had the sign out front, and you had the parking lot paved, you had the lights in, you got the shelves built, but it laid empty. Would your business be successful? The answer is no. Not until you put the product in the shelves. Not until you provided the customers the product that they wanted are you going to be able to begin to achieve your desired result, your desired goal. So the first step a church has to take in order to be successful when it comes to evangelism is that you got to have the tools. Brother, you got to have the things needed in order to achieve the victory. You got to have Bibles. You got to have Bibles for Bible studies. If you're going to do Bible studies, you cannot order those from Gospel Advocate and tell somebody, well, they'll be in a week. And I'm not talking about a pew Bible that sits in your pews. I'm talking about a Bible you can give them. You know, it's amazing today how many people don't have Bibles. And yet, do you have a Bible? No, I don't have a Bible. And so I'm not talking about an AP study Bible. You don't have to go out there and spend $120 on a Bible. Now, you might want to use that as a baptismal gift. I'm talking about just a basic $5, $7 Bible, and you should have those somewhere in this church. So when you do a Bible study, they can have a Bible. Number two, you got to have a Bible study method. Whether it's the Open Bible Study by Ivan Stewart, whether or not it's the Fishers of Men. Whether or not it's Back to the Bible by Bobby Bates, that's what I'm using and teaching. Whether or not it doesn't matter, Believe the Bible. Well, it's Searching for Truth, the Jewel Miller Film Strip Studies. You've got to have something to use to do a study. It's incredible how many churches I attend, and they do not have the tools to do the job. Now, don't worry. We've got salt shakers, we've got pepper shakers, we've got coffee filters, coffee pots, chairs, tables, napkins, forks, spoons, knives. We have microwaves, we have ovens, we have multiple ovens, multiple refrigerators, ice machines. We have everything we need to open a soup kitchen. And don't you worry, we've got glue sticks, we've got glue scissors, we've got poster board, and brethren, we got scissors, we've got laminators, we've got copy machines and printers and die cut machines and models and everything we need to do to open a school. But when it comes to the most important things that a church needs, in many places we're left wanting. Now don't worry, if that refrigerator goes out, hey, we'll go replace it. In fact, there won't even be a meeting call. We'll go down to Lowe's and we'll make sure that refrigerator, it doesn't, because we've got to have the refrigerator. But brother, when it comes to the very tools, the very materials that we need in order to carry out our mission, churches of Christ are left on the sideline. That's got to stop. If evangelism is going to be our number one goal at the church, it's got to be the number one goal in the church, which means we've got to get what it takes to get people. Whatever it takes to bring people, what it takes to train people to teach. You know, we're not born knowing how to teach. We don't come into the church. Our does not come with an altered DNA structure that makes you an immediate teacher. You got to train members how to teach the gospel. You got to equip them. You got to spend time doing it. Who in the world goes to work without training? I just have a sneaky suspicion at Bluebird, you train the people how to run the machines. You don't just throw them in there and say, well, just go ahead and do your best. You even send them to school. There might be some of the management that are actually sent to certain places where Bluebird has their corporate headquarters, and you're taught, this is the Bluebird way. This is how we do it. No, whether not you're in the Navy, and they're going to send you to Boeing, they're going to send you to J-Star, wherever it is the J-Star's made, they're going to send you there and say, this is how it's done. Brethren, there's no difference in the church. You have to train people. You're not accidentally going to become evangelistic. It won't work. The only way this happens is if you are to use the same intent, the same focus, the same successful strategy that the work where you attend, that workplace that makes them productive, that provides you the job. It's the same thing. You got to have materials for new converts. And brother, you just don't make this stuff up. Well, I'll just make up some materials for new converts. You make stuff up at work at the last minute and no, you use time tested, you use laboratory approved. You make sure that there's a track record. When somebody comes into your business to sell you a tool, you want to know, when was it made? How long has it been used? Is it successful? What's the track record? You want to know that before you expend. So we've got to make sure that the church has what it needs to succeed. That's number one. Number two, then we got to put it out there where people can use it. Locking it in the preacher's office doesn't work. We don't want it locked in the preacher's office. Brethren, we want it out there so people can get it. I don't know why it is that churches get evangelism material and stick it in the library. The brethren aren't going to go to the library and get it. We can't get our preachers into the libraries. The members aren't going. We don't want to lock it in a filing cabinet. We don't want to put it back in some warehouse or storage room. We want to put it out there in a highly visible place. Here's one of the first things a church should do. You ought to have an evangelism table. That table ought to be so obvious you can't miss it. When you're walking down the aisle, you see it. It says evangelism. You can't bypass it. You can't accidentally miss it. I mean, you're going to see it every time you walk into the church building and when you walk out. And on that evangelism table, you're going to place the tools needed to do the job. You're not going to put things out there that are not needed to do the job. No, you're going to put down the things needed to do the job. So this is not lost and found. This isn't where you put the bubblegum wrappers. No, this is where you put the tools Christians need to teach others the gospel of Christ. And you can go to a website, a simple website, order a blue table skirt, says Warner Robins Church of Christ, Evangelism Center, Evangelism Table, and you stick it out there. And you make sure that members have access to it. Several years ago, I walked into a church and I said, brother, I'm going to pretend I'm just one of the members. I said, and I've got a Bible study I want to do. I said, would you tell me where I would get the materials to do the Bible study? He said, oh, preacher. He said, we were prepared for you. He said, follow me. And I followed him, and we went down a dark hallway. He turned the lights on, we kept walking down the hallway. We got to the end of the hallway, and he says, it's in this room, and it was locked. Don't worry, he had the ring of keys. And we brought it out, and we went through the keys, one after another, and another key. We finally found it. We opened the door. He said, brother, it's in here somewhere. He turned on the light. He said, back there. We walked to the back of the room, and it was in the locker. It was locked. Ring of keys. Don't worry. We went through all the ring of keys. We finally got the locker open. He pulls out a package, a back to the Bible. He said, brothers, he said, we were prepared. I said, I'm so glad you have evangelism materials, but I have one question. I said, why are the materials needed to teach the lost how to be saved in a locked room, in a locked locker, in this church building? He said, we were afraid someone might get them. Brother, isn't that the point? Don't we want them to get them? We don't put things like that back into some secret closet that only the preacher has access to. Get it out there where people can use it. One preacher called me and said, hey, Rob, he said, man, we followed your advice. He said, we put the evangelism table out there. He said, we took all those materials we got from you. We put them on the table, and we were set up. He said, and I came back 2 days later. He said, and I was so excited, and I got to the church building. I walked into the foyer, and it was gone. The table was gone. The material was gone. And he said, man, I was beside myself. I said, brother, that's good. They were taking it. He said, oh, no. He said, no, Rob. He said, you don't get it. He said, so I had more material. So I put the table back out there, and I put a little table skirt on it. I put the materials back on it, and I'm going to preach on the materials, He said, I went out there a couple days later, and it was gone. I said, brother, where's the material going? He said, well, I called one of the men. I said, brother, do you happen to know where the material's going for our evangelism table? He said, oh, yeah. He said, now, brother, Brother David, when we built this $3 million facility, we took suggestions as to what was to go in the hallway and what was approved. That was not on the approved list. That gaudy-looking table, and the women saw that. They said, that wasn't on the approved. You can't be putting things like that out there arbitrarily. We've got to have a meeting about it. We've got to discuss it. We decided to put it in the coat closet. Now, it won't embarrass anybody in the coat closet. Preacher, that did not match our decor. We spent a lot of money, planning the foyer, making sure the colors match and everything looked good. And we just put it in they can go into the coat closet. It's right off the foyer. He said, Rob, it took everything I had not to just unleash. He says, I got in the pulpit and I preached that Sunday night on the evangelism materials in the coat closet. And I said, brethren, go get it. Back to the Bible. It's there. Doesn't matter. It's there. Believe the Bible. It's ready. The DVDs, everything's ready. Go get it. He said, I walked down the aisle. I stood outside the coat closet, and I waited for them to go into the closet and grab the materials. And guess how many people walked in to get the material? None. Brethren, if we cannot put evangelism materials in our foyers because it doesn't match the decor, may I suggest we sell our buildings and go home. This is the church of Christ. Our mission is to evangelize. And pray God that we can get our churches engaged in putting out the materials for the church members so they can actually do the commission of Jesus Christ. Number 3, you got to train them how to use it. You put a DeWalt drill in my hand, you got a dangerous weapon. You put it in the hands of a craftsman, and then he'll build you a masterpiece. You got to train people what to do with the equipment. It does no good to set up a table and put a bunch of equipment out there that they have no idea what to do with it. So I would strongly suggest you put your preacher in the pulpit and you ask him to train you how to use it. Train him how to use back to the Bible. Train him how to use doesn't matter. Train him how to use believe the Bible. The average church member is scared to death. They don't know what to do with it. It's frightening to them. I don't know if I can do it. Now that little bit of training I did this week is not enough for the average church member. You're literally, brother, going to have to take them verse by verse. Underline the verse, circle the answer, put it in the blank. Keep it simple. Don't complicate it because it's not that complicated. Train them how to do it. Train them how to greet visitors. Train them how to keep the saved, to treat new converts. Train them how to do compassion cards. Train them how to do door knocking. You got to train them. The same thing you do at work. No one's allowed to go work on a J-Star without training. If you're going to work on the power plant, you got to go to power plant school. You're not going to be thrown out there. Just go ahead and go change the oil. You're going to go through training before you even touch it, aren't you? You're going to get certified. You're going to have to sign it off. And so we're not talking about J-Star power plants. We're talking about souls, brethren. Let's put some time into it. Train your church members. Sit them down. If individually is needed, congregationally, there's different types of training. They must be trained. This church is as much passion as you have right now for souls, as good and as hearts that you have, as interested and as motivated as you are right now. It's not enough. It's not enough to want it. You've got to be taught how. Number 4, we got to create an evangelistic atmosphere. We got to make evangelism permeate through the air. It's got to become part of everything you do. Evangelism has got to be woven through every piece of the church, every part of the Christian, every work that you touch. It's got to relate right back to evangelism, brethren. If it does not relate to the evangelistic work of the church, shut it down. Because this is who we are. God didn't give you 2 missions. He didn't give you 3 missions. He gave you 1. You have 1 mission. Don't ever take your eye off your mission. We get distracted in churches of Christ. Brethren, we allow things like graduation banquets and trick or trunk, and I'm all for those things. But we allow those things to distract us. We end up allowing those things to be self-fulfilling. Well, we checked the box. We did our graduation banquet this year. And then what? I mean, what's the end result of the graduation banquet? If it's not souls, then don't do it. I'll make it souls. Brother, you can have your graduation banquet and make it a soul-saving event. In fact, there's very little you can do in your life that you separate from evangelism. See, it becomes who you are. It becomes what the church does. Let's back up. When I was a boy, I was growing up. Darrell Conley was my preacher at Northern Oaks Church of Christ. So Brother Conley, and I had great speakers. I can remember Roy Deaver speaking at the Shenandoah lectures. My dad took me to the Denton lectures. We went all over, And I can remember those old preachers talking about the 3 works of the church. Everybody know the 3 works of the church? You want to name them with me? Somebody help me. What are they? Evangelism, edification, and benevolence. Those are the 3 works of the church. I'm going to shake your world up a little bit. Is it possible that there's really just one? Brethren, I want to ask a question, and I think this is going to answer the question. Let's just suppose you took evangelism out of benevolence. You took soul saving out of benevolence completely. What do you got? You got the soup kitchen. That's what you got. Brother, you take evangelism out of benevolence, and what you got is the local. You got the local food pantry. That's all you got. Is it the mission of the church to feed the poor? Is that the mission of the church? Is the mission of the Warner Robins Church of Christ to solve world poverty? Brethren, we will never feed more people than the Catholic Church. We will never generate more excitement than the Pentecostals. We're never going to have bigger buildings and campuses than the Baptists. If that is what we're trying to achieve, we will fail. We can't do it. Why do you think Jesus was benevolent? Why do you think he fed the 5,000? Why do you think Jesus told the church to do good unto all men? Brethren, because you open people's hearts by showing people that you care about them. Jesus said the poor will always be with you. But if we can take a good work like benevolence and we can combine it with evangelism, it becomes potent. Let me share with you a simple thing you can do. I'm just going to give you one thing. I've got so much to pour on you, but I'm going to give you one simple thing for the church office. This is a church office thing. Hello? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we care about the poor. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we have food. We'd be glad to help you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we do. Yes, ma'am, we pay rent. We pay gas bills. Yes, we help. Yes, ma'am, we help with that as well. Whatever they ask, we say yes. Oh, man, this is a wonderful church. You guys are so kind. I'm really needing some help. I'm so glad I called you this morning. When can I get some help? We offer that help every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, and we can't wait to see you. Yeah, every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we have that kind of help offered, and we cannot wait for you to walk in to our services. And when they walk in, you have trained people in your congregation. These are your special forces. You're going to train them. And when they walk in that building and they say, I'm here for that help, you take them to a room 2, and you do a Bible study. Brethren, if we cannot do Bible studies during Bible classes, we are pitiful. Go do a Bible study with them. Before they do anything else, I want to find out more about it. Now, if they're willing to do a Bible study, I guarantee your deacon of benevolence and your elders are going to be more than willing to help them with whatever it is they need. And you can choose at that time how much help you provide. But we're going to make sure they're legit. We're going to make sure they're legitimately looking for help. We're not going to allow people to con us anymore in the church and waste our time because they're professionals at it. They know exactly how to do it. No, yes, we'll provide help, but that help comes every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, and I cannot wait to see you. And when I see you, that back to the Bible is coming out. That's just one of many things you can do. Imagine making benevolence evangelistic every single time. Well, sir, I don't think I can make it on Wednesday. I'm so sorry. There's some community services here at Warner Robins. I'm sure you have some, and they'll be glad to help you. But our church helps at 7 o'clock on Wednesday night, 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, or Sunday night. If you want to create another time, that's up to you. But we're going to combine it with a Bible study. I got that from the Crossville Church of Christ, up where Barry Kennedy used to preach. Alan Judd preaches. Man, they were knocking out of the park. I said, we're going to put that as part of the school. And ever since, we've been doing that. And it is in Jacksonville, we baptize 3 or 4 people a year since I've been there every year because of that one thing. We tell them, yes, ma'am. And, well, I don't have a car. Well, that's not hard to fix. How many of you men would go pick somebody up if they needed a ride? Everybody would. Don't worry. We've got plenty of men that can give rides. That's not going to work. That excuse doesn't work. We will be glad to pick you up. Number 5. By the way, I want to make sure that I'm clear. I believe the Church of Christ are filled of good people. And we have some of the most generous people on the face of the earth. We have vouchers, benevolent boxes, pantry boxes, backpack drives, coat drives, benevolent whole buildings just made for benevolence, teacher supplies. It's not the problem. The problem is that becomes the end game. Rather, if we're just giving people food to give people food, then what difference is it in us and in the Salvation Army? What's the difference? What's the difference between us and the Goodwill? Show me why we're different than they are. Because this cannot be the end game. See, evangelism permeates through. Why do we edify the church? Why do we train church members? Why do we build them up? Jude verse 20, the most holy faith. Is it not so that we can make disciples? Isn't it all about evangelism? Her name's Kim Bullock. And she called and said, I got this little publication. It says you guys help people. Yes, ma'am. I like it. I read it. Yes, ma'am. Do y'all help people? Yes, ma'am. Well, I need some help. And I said, we'll be glad to help you. And when you help people, how do I get? I said, well, man, we'll come get you Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And we can, well, okay, but I don't drive. No problem. And so our secretary called one of the brothers in charge of transportation. And they went and picked her up and brought her. And they grabbed me and Jackson. Hey, Rob, this lady here is visiting. Hey, Kim, how you doing? My name's Rob, my wife, Nicole. And we're talking to her. Hey, can we take you home? We'll take you home. Hey, Kim, what was it that you needed anyway? We're at the Dollar General. She said, I need a little food. And I said, look. She said, I just moved into these government housing. I said, okay. And she said, I got this bathtub and that thing is slick and I'm older and I keep falling. And I said, do you need a mat? Yeah. I said, well, let's go get a mat. Well, I can't afford it. I said, I didn't ask that question. Get your mat. We got her mat. I remember we got some canned goods, took it to the register, got some drinks and you need some help getting it inside? Yeah. I've got some back issues. I said, it's all right. So we walked in that place and it was mold infested. I said, Kim, you have any problems with like breathing? She said, man, ever since I moved in here, I've always got a cold. I've got congestion. I said, Kim, there's a mold problem in here. She said, what do I do about it? I said, don't you worry about it. I said, I know who we're going to call. So I called up to that government agency and I said, you guys have a mold problem. And I said, we better get it fixed. And eventually, it took us a couple of weeks. They moved her to a brand new place. And she said, well, Rob, I can't move. I said, don't worry. We got plenty of men that can move you. We showed up. We got our stuff out of her place. We moved her into her. She was so excited. And I've never had a place this nice before. They said, you guys are sure nice to me. I said, hey, Kim, do you know anything about the Church of Christ? Don't know a lot about it. I just so happen to have these little booklets right here. I said, would you like to know more? Sure would. What do you think happened when we finished the third book? This right here is where it all happens. Brethren, this one right here is where you have got to buckle down on this point right here. Because if you don't get this right here, nothing else you do matters at this church. You have got to bring customers into the store. So you got your store built, you got the product in the shelf, and you have trained the workers. So remember, you got this. We're going to call it loads. You have got your store ready. You have trained them out. You have got your aisle signs set up. You got the inventory in the back. And brethren, you're going to go bankrupt if you don't get customers. You've got to get people in the store. A church of Christ is nothing without people. This is not the church of Christ. The people. The people. You need the people. You've got to get the people. You've got to produce contacts. And do you know who the best contact creator is in this church? I know who it is. Let me back up. Do you know who the worst contact creator is in this church? I know who it is. I want to name you. Do you know who it is? His name is Daniel Steersman. He's the worst. Because the preacher is always the worst. You know why? Because he's surrounded by you. We don't need to convert you. You see, the best contact creators in a church are you. They are the people that work with people. They're the people that go to school with them. They go to work with them. They're on the ball teams together. They're in the community. You grew up with them. The best contact creators in the churches of Christ are not your preacher. Your preacher has other areas where he'll shine. This is not one of them. This is where you must engage the pews. We need your help. If you'll help, if you'll do your job, and we'll teach you how to do it. There are 6 ways from Sunday to do this. We'll show you exactly how to bring them. And so we're going to run through just a few of these very quickly. These are things that work. These are field tested. They're proven. They work. You need to properly use house to house, heart to heart. Properly. I mean, you've got to be trained how to use it. And when you use it right, you're going to get contacts. It's just a matter of time. So if you'll advertise the congregation as it should be advertised. Now I have a 10-question test I give to every church regarding their issue of house to house, heart to heart. Most churches score about a 20 on it. That means 80% of what they should have on house to house is not on there. I'm going to give you just one of them very simply. One thing that should be on, I don't know if it's on yours or not, but it should be on there. Free transportation to the church. If you put that on the front of your house to house, heart to heart, someone is going to call and say, hey, I don't have a car and I'd like to go to church, or I don't drive at night. Would you take me? And of course you're going to say yes. We baptize somebody every single year at Jacksonville with that simple statement. Now we'll go over this together. I'm going to go over this with your elders, but this right here is pivotal. You got to set it up right. You got to make sure it's got the right information on it. It's amazing how many churches, their back page is filler that we provide. We put it in there for them because they're not doing anything with it. When they could be talking about, for example, your trick or trunk. You could have advertised that to every sinner in this area and said, listen, on this day, we're going to have a trick or trunk, and we want you to come. This is a safe environment for children. And you can come as sinners. And, you don't call them sinners in the article, but that's what we're wanting. We want them to come. What about a holiday dinner? What about a catfish fry in the summer? What about an ice cream, homemade ice cream in the parking lot? Come on, advertise something. Let them know that you're doing something. You're reaching out to them. And you say, well, man, we're going to advertise our gospel meeting. It's not going to work. They're not coming. They don't care that Glenn Colley's coming. I love Glenn Colley, but the average person out here doesn't have a clue who Glenn Colley is. They don't care that you got Dan Winkler coming. They don't care. I love these men. They're learned men, but we care, but the sinner doesn't care. You got to put something on there that gets the sinner to come. What do they want? What is it that will get them here? What is it that what is it that will help them understand that you are in this community and you're here to help? What about school supplies? You come on this day, we've got school supplies. And maybe you don't even have to dip into the church budget. Just ask every family to go to Walmart and spend, I don't know, $20, $30 on school supplies. bring them up here and say, we got school supplies. And then we got to strategize. Now, how are we going to turn those into contacts? How are we going to make sure that that becomes something that produces? So you advertise stuff like that. The back page is, brethren, is better than the newspaper. Most people don't even read the paper. This goes into their mailbox and they see it. Free school supplies. You think someone might come? You got to think outside the box. You got to show people that you're here to help them. That you care about this community. So let's look at what happens when you do that. Friend, all the examples I'm going to give you have happened in the last 18 to 24 months. I just got home from a seminar and I looked over my shoulder and I noticed this lady was in the pew and I said, I think she's a visitor. Now my family was visiting my wife's mother and father. They were up in north of Nashville and we just got back from a seminar. She hadn't seen them in a while, so I'm back home at Jacksonville and I get up off the pew. I walk back and Alan just finished preaching. I said, hey, Alan. I said, who is that? And he said, Rob, she's visiting. And I said, all right. So I went up and I got right in behind her. She's not escaping. I said, I have one mission. I want a Bible study. I'll get it. And I just sat right there behind her and I waited to the end of the service. She popped up and she, hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? Oh, my name's Ellen. Hey, Ellen, you visiting this morning? Sure am. I said, well, we're glad you're here. And Ellen, you live in the community? Sure do. I said, well, cool. Ellen, you by yourself? Well, my husband was coming this morning, but he got sick, stayed home. I said, I understand. Hey, Ellen, did you enjoy the service today? Yeah, I really did. You know, your preacher, he loves the Bible. Oh, yeah, we love the Bible here. She says, I love the Bible. I said, wonderful. I said, man, I sure would like to meet your husband. And she said, you know what? My husband needs to come hear your preacher. And I want him to hit. Do you guys have an evening service? I said, we sure do, 6 o'clock. She said, well, I'm going to come. I said, well, my wife will be here tonight, and maybe we can visit. She said, that sounds good. I have one mission, just one thing I want. I called Nicole. Nicole, come home. Huh? I said, I need you home, honey. We got somebody. And so she comes home, and she gets back home. And Sunday night, they come. Her husband comes. I introduce Nicole, this is Ellen. Rob, this is Perry, my husband. Nice to meet you, Perry. Hey guys, we got this custom here. We always like to take visitors out to eat. What's your favorite restaurant, Perry? Athena's. Ooh, that's a nice restaurant. Perry said, I love that Italian food. I said, can we take y'all to Athena's tonight? You take us to Athena's? Brethren, McDonald's doesn't work. Find a nice restaurant. Get them to the restaurant. That's where they open up. They're not going to open up at the church building. I'd be glad to take it. Man, Rob, my stomach. If I'm going to Athena's, I want to eat, you know. And so can we do it next Sunday? I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make the reservations for next Sunday morning. And he said, we'll be here. So next Sunday, sure enough, they walked in. They're not going to miss Athena's. They walked into the church, and we drive over to Athena's. And brethren, I care less about the lasagna. I have one mission. I just want one thing. We sit around the table, and I'm going to look for a sweet spot. It won't take long. Perry, what do you think about what do you think about NFL football? Don't like it. Turns me off now. I said, me too. Don't like it. What do you think about basketball? Nah. I don't watch it anymore. I said, me neither. What do you think about golf? Too slow. I said, yeah, kind of slow, you know. I said, well, what do you think about college football? Yeah, love college football. I said, yeah. I said, boy, I tell you, I love college football too. I said, Perry, who do you like? He said, go Alabama. Go Alabama. If I got to be an Alabama fan to get me a Bible study, brethren, I'll be an Alabama fan. I don't care. I want a Bible study. That's all I want. I'm not going to let that get in my way. I said, man, Perry, I said, Nick Saban's a good coach, isn't he? Yeah, he's a good coach. I said, too bad they missed a championship game this year, Perry. I mean, Clemson got him, you know. Yeah, he said, that's Perry, do you know tomorrow is the national championship game? It is Clemson and LSU. Yeah, it is. It is tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, I did. Perry, when I bought my house, now watch this. The people who built the house that we bought had put a movie room in the house. And they put a massive screen like this in the house. And he says, they got 7 speakers, surround sound. Perry, you have never watched a football game till you've watched it on that screen. And we just so happen tomorrow to be having a football party. What was that? Oh, that was Nicole kicking me because I didn't ask her. And And you did it again to me, Rob. And I said, yes, we're having a football party, and you're invited. And we're going to have the sausage balls. You like the sausage balls? And you like the croissant rolls when they roll them up. I don't keto that night. Put the mustard on it, And man, we're going to have a good. I said, Perry, we're going to have chips and dips. You guys. He said, really? We can come over? I said, sure. Come watch the game with me. He said, man, I love to watch the game. And they get to my house, and all I want is a blowout. I have one mission. There's only one thing I want, and it's a blowout. And LSU has taken them, they've taken them to the locker room before halftime. And I looked over and I said, Perry, can we just talk a little bit? He said, sure. I said, why Jacksonville? There are a dozen churches in Jacksonville. Why y'all choose us? Well, Rob, we go to the Methodist church. I said, okay. He said, Rob, they don't follow the Bible anymore. I said, yeah, I've been reading about their, I've been reading some of that in the paper. Yeah, we want to go to a church. And, 21 years ago when we moved here, for some reason, you guys been sending this as publication. House to house, heart to heart. We read it every time. We love it. And it's always got Bible in it. So we decided that you'd be the first church we visit. I said, you guys like the Bible? Love the Bible. Do you know anything about the Church of Christ? Don't know a lot. I just so happen to have these booklets. I always have the booklets. That's what I want. I want a Bible study. Guess what they did 3 weeks later? We baptized him. We baptized his wife. We baptized his son. And we baptized his son's wife. And brethren, they don't miss a service. They're more faithful than most of our members. They never miss. They love the Bible. It's amazing what happens when you do it right. When people know you're here. There are people that are driving along this road and they don't even know the Warner Robins Church of Christ is here. Put it in their mailbox and more people just might. Promote your events on the back. Make sure you always promote. Never make us put filler in there. I'd say 75% of the churches that subscribe to house, heart to heart, do not use the back page. It's yours. So we have to put filler in there. Put the picture of your preacher back there. Put the picture of your elders on it. Put an article in there. Write something about what you're doing. Tell the community who you are. Promote the events that you're going to do. Let them know you're here. It's important. Special offers inside. We're going to offer things like, 10 Commandment poster. Fill it out, and we'll send you a 10 Commandment poster. You know what the worst thing you could do when people fill this out? Mail it to them. It's the absolute worst thing you can do. Do not mail them what they ask for. Hand deliver it. I'll show you what happened. I was meeting with the elders. I've been at Jacksonville, a year or so, and I said, brethren, when someone requests something from house to house, what do you do? Oh, we mail it. Deb Rise. I said, could we not do that? Why wouldn't we do that, Rob? I said, because we're going to hand deliver it. I said, the next time someone requests something, just call me and put it in my box. So I get this phone call, a month later. Hey, Rob, yes, Deb Rice. Hey, Deb, we got a Brenda Glaze, and she's wants some marriage material. I said, all right. Now, Rob, I don't think we're supposed to mail it anymore. I said, no, ma'am. Rob, what do I do with it? Put it in the mailbox, and I'll be over there at the church office. And I just so happened to be home. Nicole and I drove down to the church office. It took us a little while to find 8A Street North. We finally found it, knocked on the door, and always take a woman. Never go alone, gentlemen. Always take a child or a woman for multiple reasons. I don't have time to explain all of it, but just always do that. It increases your chances of success. So Nicole stands here. I back off a little bit. She opens the door. She sees Nicole. She smiles. If she saw me, she'd run. Always bring a woman, all right? And so, oh, yes, ma'am, my name is Rob Whitacre. This is my wife, Nicole. We're with House to House, Heart to Heart. And you requested some marriage material, and we'd like to drop it off. Well, that's so sweet. I said, did you just get married? I just did. Yes, I got married. And I said, well, congratulations, Brenda. She said, well, sir, why didn't you just mail this stuff to me? I said, well, I couldn't have met you if I mailed it. Well, that's true. Brenda, did you just move here? Yes. And just moved down here from Oxford. I said, well, glad you're in Jacksonville. And I've lived here just over a year. And what? Are there some things that I could show you? Do you need to know where things are at? And she said, what? She said, sir, wait a minute. She said, I got a question for you. I said, well, sure. Well, what do you got? She said, she says, do you go to church? I said, oh, yes, ma'am, just down the road. Oh, good. Do you know anything about the Bible? Oh, just a little bit. And I said, just a little bit. She says, good, because my husband knows nothing about the Bible. Daniel, get off the couch. That man has been on the couch ever since he came home. I don't know what he does all day. Get off the couch, Daniel. These people are here to see you. Daniel's, doing this, getting off the couch. He walks over to the door, and I'm sitting there, and he says, now, Daniel, this is Rob and Nicole, and we're going to teach you the Bible. You could have blown me over. We baptized, and 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 we baptized. And we just kept baptizing. We have an uncle, we have an aunt, we have a cousin, we have a neighbor, we have a best friend. And brethren, that's what happens when you make contact with people. If I mailed it to her, guess what would have happened? Nothing. Do not take the easiest route. It doesn't work. Personal contact must be made. You got to target people. In fact, you need to create a target list. And I would suggest that whoever's not receiving house to house, that's in your friendship circle, if you work out at the base, you work out at Bluebird, or if you work out wherever it is that you work, and there are people out there that are not in the mailing, and you know them, you got family, they're not in the mailing district of house to house, get me their name and address and we'll send it to them. I want every person you know to get house to house, heart to heart. Everybody. Because we're going to target every person you know. It's called a target list. This is what you do. You get a clipboard. You pass it around. You tell everybody, listen, if there's somebody not getting house to house, heart to heart, because they're outside of our mailing area, and you know them, and you work with them, and you make contact with them, give me their name and address, and we will literally physically add them. It takes a lot of work, but we do it for churches. You want a target list. Get it to every person you know, because it's going to create opportunities. Now, you got to go out from time to time and knock doors. You got to train people how to do it. All right, traditional door knocking does not work in this country anymore, but there are things that do work. We have 4 field-tested methods that work, and I'll be glad to train you how to do them. I don't have time right now, but this is part of it. You've got to go to them. The Great Commission is a going commission. It does not say, come on in. It says, go on out. We literally are going to have to go. Now, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody in your church is going to be part of your door-knocking team, but there are going to be people that you're going to train, and you're going to go out. Let me give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, we had our National Door-Knocking Day. House to House promotes it every year, and so I went out with 2 new converts. My wife and I took some new converts out with us. We said, y'all come with us. We had, how many people? Jared showed up that day. It was about 35 of us. It was a lot. It was a lot of people. We had a great group. When we went out, we went door to door, and we knocked on probably about 45, 50 doors. And I believe we had, let me make sure I get this right, we had 17 maybe home. Of that 17 that were home, we made 7 contacts. 7, brother. 7, that's just my team. 7 contacts. That's 7 people that said, come back. That's 7 people that said, we want to know more. Don't tell me that door knocking doesn't work. I know it works. We did this in a massive campaign fashion in Rome, Georgia, not far from you. Rome, Georgia. We did a massive campaign. We put 150 Christians out on the street for 4 days. We baptized 9 people in this country. I didn't even have to get on an airplane. I used to think that only happened in Jamaica. Did you know it happens here? You can actually baptize people here if you'll do it. And we train our members how. And we equip them with the tools to do it. And brethren, we pray about it. We focus on it. There are things that work. You don't ever give up. Now, what about new movers? Now, as part of house to house, heart to heart, we offer new movers. What is new movers? New movers is that we have access to every person who moves to Warner Robins. Think about it. Does anybody in the audience own a business? Anybody own a business? Raise your hand. You own a business. You own a business, sir? Brother, you own a business back there. You ought to be raising your hand. The food truck man, right? What is his name? What's the food truck man? Jason. Jason, you own a business. Jason, I tell you what, you understand this. If I came up to you, Jason, and I said, Jason, I can. Let's just say now let's just say you had a local food truck. You didn't go all over the country. I got to make this work. Local food truck, and you're depending upon a clientele because you're going to go out of business without customers. And I said, Jason, I can provide you the name of every person who moves within 10 miles of your food truck and moves in. Would you want that? You know what he's going to do with that? He's going to send them a coupon that says 10% off your first sandwich. I had a dentist in my office. He said, man, I'll give them the first teeth cleaning for free. He said, because once I get into their mouth, they're lifetime customers. If you owned a car wash, you say first car wash free, right? Get into the car wash. Whatever it is, you got a business, and I can give you the names of people moving within your area, and I can give you a map. I can give you I can give you an app, and you can blow it up, and I can show you where they lived. That's worth gold. That's what we do at House to House. You know what that costs? That costs $5 a month because it costs us $5. So we just pass it on to you. And we'll give you the name of every single person who moves into your area. Now, what would happen if you just went up to their... Now, right now, my wife is doing something. Now, gentlemen, hold on. But my wife right now is teaching your wives how to go shopping. She's teaching them right now. She's training them how to go shopping. You said, oh, no, preacher. No, this isn't any kind of shopping. She is teaching them how to go shopping in the name of the Lord. They're going to the Dollar Tree. My wife, the first thing we do when we come to Warner Robin, I need to go to the Dollar Tree. We all know we're going to go to the Dollar. We're going to wait in the parking lot. I don't want to go into the Dollar Tree. She's going to go into the Dollar Tree, her and Hannah, and they're going to build a new mover's basket. It's going to cost $10. And she's going to now teach your ladies how to go to the Dollar Tree and build a new mover's basket. It costs $10. And then we're going to go visit people who move into our community. And we're going to say, hi, my name's Daniel. This is my wife, Katrina. We're your neighbors. Welcome to the community. We got this new mover basket here, and we'd like to give you this gift from our church. Really? Yeah, and we've lived here a few years. So glad you're here. And my wife has made you some chocolate chip cookies. They're hot, right out of the oven. That's really nice, And hey, do you guys need help finding anything in the area? David Shannon was at Polishing the Pulpit, and he said people are most likely to change churches when they move. That's what we're looking for. A couple of generations ago, if a couple or a family moved from one city to another city, they usually stayed with that same denomination. Those days are over. It doesn't matter to me what denomination they were in the last town. Your average person today is willing to look at any church in their neighborhood. Brethren, it doesn't matter to me what church they attended in the last town. I want them to visit the church of Christ, because that gives us the best opportunity to sit down and study the Word of God. We've got to get the people moving here. They don't have a church affiliation. I want you to be the first church they see. Now, you got to train people. You're going to have to get a group and train them how to do it. You won't be able, by the way, to handle all the new movers. There's more than you can handle. But just say if you picked a dozen a month out and you went to their door, what might happen? Brother Bobby Bates used to say, my little bit of something is better than your whole lot of nothing. Brother, we got to do something. We cannot just wait for them to come. They're not coming. We have got to go to them. And eventually, you're going to find somebody out there that says, that was the nicest thing. And look at what we're going to do. We're going to start a robust card sending ministry. We're going to send more cards than we have ever sent in our life. I'm not talking about 4 or 5 ladies getting together once a month to send cards. Every church of Christ does that. I'm not opposed to that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about every single church member is enrolled. No sign-up list. When you became a child of God, you were enlisted. We're not asking for volunteers. Out in the military base, when you go to war, the sergeant doesn't come up and says, who wants to volunteer? No. You were enlisted. When you enlisted, you were volunteered. You're going. Here's what we're going to do, and you're told what you're going to do. Brethren, we are an army of God. We are soldiers in an army, the most important army in the world. And so we need you to be involved. This is something that everybody can do. No one should be afraid of sending a card. By the way, I don't think you get COVID from sending cards. Dr. Fauci hasn't eliminated it yet. Everybody can do it. Everybody can send cards. Widows send cards. Widowers send cards. Men send cards. Women send cards. You need a robust card sending. You know what happens when you do that? I'm not talking about one card with 20 signatures. Do not do that. It doesn't work. You have to bomb them with cards. We're talking about a prospect, a contact that becomes a prospect, and you're going to send them 25 or 30 cards in 1 week. It's very organized. There's a process behind it. If you cheat, it won't work. It's got to be about sinners, not saints. I had a church recently call me and said, Rob, it's not working. I said, well, I got a troubleshooting guide. I literally have a troubleshooting guide on this. I bring it out. I have a troubleshooting guide to every part of this ministry. I bring out the sheet and I said, okay, step 1. Yes, we do. Step 2. I said, do you have a contact list? No. All right, now I know why it's not working. You don't have a contact list. Okay, let's go to step 3. Who are you sending cards to? They listed the names. I said, are those Christians or non-Christians? 8 of the 10 were Christians. Brethren, we're not trying to save the Christians. They're already saved. We're trying to get to the sinners. It doesn't take me long. This right here produces every time it's done right. This is potent right here. Now, when you do it right, this is what you get. We walked into her house and, hey, Rob. Hey, Bettina. How's it going today? Good, good. Hey, Bettina, can I sit down with you for just a little bit? Yeah, come on, sit down, Rob. She said, boy, that church is so nice. Been giving me rides to church and bringing me food. And hey, Bettina, what are these cards doing here? Oh, that's your church, Rob. They send me cards. I get 8, 6, 7, 8 cards a day. She says, I never got so many cards in all my life. I said, really? Thank God for the church of Christ. When you do your job, I can do mine. If you don't do your job, he can't do his. He can't do his job without you. You see, this is where church members are required. It's not an optional matter. You must be engaged. And when you do this, how hard is it for me to get that Bible study? How hard? It's easy. You have already done the work. The Bible study is just waiting to happen. All I've got to do is say, Bettina, would you like to know more about the church? Yeah, sure. Love to know more. I just so happen to have these little booklets right here. Nicole grabbed them up. John 8:32. We always start in the same place. I was in book 3. And I don't know why I had this hunch that Bettina was associated with the church in the past. I did not know for sure. But then I got to Mark 16:16. I said, Bettina, I always have them read Mark. I never read that part. Bettina, read Mark 16:16 for me. Oh, yeah. Hey, Rob, I know that verse you do. Yeah. My pastor knows all about it. Really? Yeah. I said, well, what does it say? He that believes is saved and then baptized. Bettina, would you read Mark 16:16 for me again? She said, sure. He that believes is saved and then baptized. Bettina, Rob, is there something wrong? I said, well, would you read it like one word at a time? Oh, sure. He that believes and is baptized shall be. He that believes and is baptized shall be saved. That is not what my pastor told me that verse said. I bet not. Guess what she did? Hey, Alan, I need some help. She's in a wheelchair. She needs help. And we baptized her. After the baptism, we took her home. I said, Bettina, I just had a hunch that you were associated with the Church of Christ. And she said, well, I attended the last place I lived, Rob. I attended the Church of Christ. Now, Rob, I was a Baptist. I said, but I attended. I said, well, why did you attend the Church of Christ? Well, I didn't have a car. And I lived next to the church. So I just walked over. I said, well, that makes sense. Bettina, so you attended this Church of Christ? Yes. How often? Every Sunday. How long did you live there, Bettina? 7 years. 7 years. 7 years every Sunday. Bettina, as you attended this Church of Christ, where was it? Oh, Hatchie, Church of Christ, Alabama. 7 years. Bettina, as you attended this Church of Christ for 7 years, oh, Hatchie, did anyone ever offer to do a Bible study? No Bible study. 7 years. Shame on us. Brethren, that ought to never happen in the Church of Christ, but it does all over this country. They sit in our pews. Oh, they're coming. Don't scare them away. They're not coming forward. We must do Bible studies. That's how the church grows. Someone has got to sit down with them, build a relationship with them, and do a Bible study. Brethren, that's your job. And I said, I was infuriated inside. And I left, and we went back, and man, Bettina's loving the church. It's 6 months. She's come at every service. People love her, and it's like a grandmother figure in the church. And I got a phone call from Rebecca Pearson. Rob, yes, where are you? I don't know where am I. Texas? I don't know. Rob, Bettina, what's wrong with her? She's blue. I said, well, shake her. I did. Call 911. I did. She didn't make it. She ran out of oxygen. Aren't you glad she still wasn't going to Ohatchee? Because she would have been lost. My wife right now is teaching your ladies how to go shopping in the name of the Lord. They're going shopping again. My wife said, now you got to go to the Dollar Tree. Isn't it great that she sends them to the Dollar Tree and not the Walmart? $1, brethren, $1. And for $1, you're going to make visitor bags. And why are you making visitor bags? Because the visitors are not going to fill out the card. So you know what we've done for 50 years in the Church of Christ? Well, if you're visiting with us, when you fill out the card in the pew back in front of you, we'll pick those up in the offering plate, or someone will come by and get. Brother, our members don't even fill them out. Visitors, they don't like to. Do you like to fill things out when you go places? No. So let's adapt. Let's change. Visitor bag. We're going to give them gifts. And my wife is teaching you right now, the ladies, how to go shopping. And you're going to train 4 families, 5 families in this church. You got to train them. And you got to train them what to do when visitors come. No welcome wagons. We don't want any welcome wagons. Barna did a study recently. It was in churches. Here was the study. You guys participate with me, please. What is the number one thing a visitor wants when they walk into a church building? Anybody have a clue? Anybody want to know? What does a visitor want when they walk in? Recognition. Okay. It was on the list, not number one. Anybody else? Recognition. What else? What does a visitor want? When you walk into a church, what do you want? Fellowship, greeted. All right, no, we've not got it yet. What is it? They want to sit down. They want to sit down. They do not want to be embarrassed. They do not want to be interrogated. They do not want to be accosted. They want to sit down and become comfortable. Let them. Great. Say, God, nice to have you here this morning. You know, just a short little break. Let them sit down. Now, you're going to train a family, and you're going to be a visitor. I'm going to be one of the trained families. You're going to sit down. I can't have an assigned pew. I'm just going to sit down. I will sit down. I never hover. I always sit. Hey, my name is Rob. What's your name? Hey, Glenn, glad you're here. You're visiting this morning. Is that right? Hey, Glenn, are you visiting from the community here? Great. Wow, great. We're so glad you're here. And your family? Well, hey, Glenn, we got this little visitor bag. Got some gift items in it, and got some paper, pen, a Bible, and it's got a little mug with the church name on it, and some mints and things. And hey, by the way, our church loves to send visitors cards. Can I get your? I need to get your address. No, you say Glenn. Is that Glenn? And just one N. Okay. And what's your address? And before I'm done, I will have his address. I will have his phone number. That afternoon, I'm going to text him, and I'm going to say thank you for coming. It will be a very short text. And I will never let a visitor leave the church building ever again without getting his contact information. It won't ever happen again. You know how many times a visitor has told me no? Give them a gift. They always say yes. I'll always get it. Now, why do I want that? Because of this. Brethren, everything I'm going to tell you now has happened in the last 6 months. I can give you 4 families baptized in 6 months. I'm going to start with this one. So I come home. I've been doing this seminar. We're post-COVID, pretty much, and church has woken back up again, every stirring, and people kind of forgotten their jobs. They're not doing their job. People are not doing what they're supposed to do. So I came back home, and I'm looking out there, and I said, hey, they've got a whole family sitting back there. Hey, Eric, who is that back there? Oh, yeah, Rob, they've been visiting while you've been gone. Really? Eric, have we given the visitor bag to him? No, Rob, we were waiting for you. My blood pressure went up 5 points. Brother, who in the world is that back there? Yeah, Rob, they've been visiting while you've been gone. Have we given them do we have the contact information? Not yet, but we'll get it. Now my blood pressure's going off the chart. Brethren, that should never happen. That's inexcusable. I don't care what church you're at. There's no reason why that should ever happen. If you ran a business and you had customers coming in to buy your services and your secretary did not report and record their information, you'd fire them on the spot. How about they called to buy a $100,000 bus and you never got their information and lost it? You're fired. Because you just cost us our business. That should not be happening in our churches. But it happens every Sunday. So I said, this is ridiculous. I grabbed the visitor bag, right? I walked up to him and said, hey, my name's Rob. And name's Cameron. My wife, Lindsay. Nice to meet y'all. Hey, who you got there with that little girl? Oh, that's our 1-year-old. I don't remember the name now. And it's wonderful. So glad you guys are here. And hey, we got this little gift. By the way, you guys from the community? Yeah, just live down the road. I got this little gift bag here. I explained the same thing I did. Got their information, right? It didn't take me a minute to get it. Keith Ritchie is just started as our preacher. I walk up to Keith Ritchie. Hey, Keith, that's a visitor back there. He is. He doesn't know a member from a visitor. Yeah, that's a visitor. Here's the card. Keith, go introduce yourself to them and invite them out to eat. Where, Rob? Baja. Everybody loves Baja. All right, that's the Baja picture, top left. I said, Keith, while you're sitting there eating with them, ask them if they enjoyed the services. Okay? Then ask them if they know anything about the Church of Christ. Then ask them if they would like to know more. And then get out the booklets. 3 weeks, he baptized the entire family in 3 weeks. And they're still with us. They're growing. They're new converts. We have done that, brethren, time and time again this year. In fact, I wish I could have put the picture on the screen. While I was here Sunday, I don't know who I was with. I may have been with you, Daniel. I don't know. And I grabbed my phone. You said, Rob, I said, okay. It was Keith Ritchie sending me a picture of him eating with another family. We do this constantly. So I think it was you. I said, Dan, maybe it was you, Dave. I said, how many visitors? You're a secretary. How many visitors did y'all have today? How many visitors did y'all have Sunday? Y'all know? Y'all had 6. You had 6 visitors sitting in your pew. I want to know where they live. And if they live here, they ought to have been taken out to eat. And immediately you start prospecting them. Visitors are hot contact. This man cannot do it by himself. You have to have a plan in place so every visitor gets individual attention. And you connect with them. You find out where they're from. Now, if they're in visiting Johnny, and from New York, I'm not looking for that family. I'm looking for the family that lives down the road just wanting to come to church. They don't have a church home. And that's what I'm looking for. All right. Meals. You always take people out to eat. And always. I mean, food. Food is the unlock. This man right here back there, brother, you can unlock the door for us. Feed them. Man, let's get them food. Good people love food. Food opens up doors. People, when you eat with people, there's nothing they don't tell you, right? And his name's Dale Harris. Dale Harris is a top pharmaceutical rep in the Southeast. Been the top pharmaceutical rep year after year. Wins awards, wins bonuses. Every year he's going to Alaska, to London with his wife. He's a member of the church. Dale, how you always doing all these? I always win the top pharmaceutical rep for the year. I said, man, I sure would like to know how you do that. Rob, I wouldn't tell you if you were a pharmaceutical rep. But since you're a preacher, I'll tell you. Sit down. What do you do, Dale? He said, he says, I have a trade secret. I said, what is it? He says, you always take the doctor to a steakhouse. The best one in the area. He said, don't try to sell them ever a drug at the office because they got 10 secretaries and nurses calling on them. You're not going to sell a thing. He said, you get them at a restaurant, you sit down with them, and you talk to them, and Rob, they will buy every single thing you have got. He says, it always works. I said, wow. So why don't we do that? Brethren, why don't we take visitors out to eat and sit down with them and connect with them? Why don't we figure out who they are? Because the same thing works in every area of life. It's not just because it's pharmaceutical. It could be anything. So I always take people out to eat. Digital media. I don't have time to go over this stuff. I'm running out of time. I'm way past time. Look out. Community events. Community events are wonderful. We baptized an entire family the last community event we did. You know how we did it? Let me show you what we didn't do. This is what we did not do. So we get a bunch of people coming for alligator sausage. What was that? And shrimp boil. They don't come for hot dogs, by the way. Got to be something exotic. So you're going to put something together that, man, they're going to come. Brisket. I understand this brisket. I came from brisket. Bring the brisket. They'll come. All right. So you're going to people are lining up in the park, and they're coming, right? Because they're going to get the brisket. This is what you don't do. Hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? Glenn, glad you're here. Name's Rob. What's your name? Tom. Glad you're here, Tom. Name's Rob. What's your name? Betty. Glad you're here, Betty. You do that political mess, you'll get nothing. This is what you do. Hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? Hey, Glenn, can I sit down with you? Could we eat together? I won't talk to another person while I'm there. Only Glenn. And you'll talk to Tom, and you'll talk to Betty, and you'll talk to Steve, and you're going to sit down, and you have one mission. Bible study. And I'm going to start. I'm going to get your name and address. And by the way, when you get home that evening, hey, Glenn, my name's Rob. Just wanted to say thanks. We enjoyed it. Hey, You said you like to work out. You want to work out with me tomorrow? I'm going to find some way to connect with him. You said, Rob, you work out? I do now. I do now. Hey, you said you like to play golf. Want to play golf? You play golf, Rob? Back in the garage somewhere, I've got some golf clubs. I do now. I'll dust them off. You know why I have golf clubs, by the way? For Bible studies. I only play golf to get Bible studies. I will do whatever it takes to get that study. Paul says, when I'm with the Jews, I become a Jew. When I'm with the Romans, I'll do what the Romans do. When I'm with the Greeks, I'll do what the Greeks do. Brethren, when I'm with Warner Robins, I'll do whatever Warner Robins wants to do. Now, this is called the purpose of the church diaphragm. It's real simple. Let's just suppose as a church, we decided as a church, we were going to focus on people in our pews. Daniel, is there anybody that comes to Warner Robins once or twice a month? You know they're coming, they're not Christians. Okay, every church has those. Everybody. So we're going to focus on them. We're going to talk about them in our meetings. You're going to be on our whiteboard. We're going to strategize how to get to you. We will get to you. You're going to be our focal point. We're going to find some way to love you. We're going to wrap our arms around you. You're going to get more love and kindness than you've ever received in your life because we care about you. So that's what we're going to do. We had 5 of them at Willette. We baptized all 5. All right, we had 5 men at Willette. It took me a year. We baptized all of them. Next, we're going to have a robust card sending ministry. We're going to follow the process. I'm not going to skip anything. We're going to have a robust visitor ministry. We're going to have a robust door knocking ministry. We're going to have a robust house-to-house ministry. We're going to have a robust new movers ministry. We're going to have a robust social media ministry. We're going to have a robust benevolent ministry. And guess what's going to happen when we focus all of that on evangelism? The average church in our school, when they do what they're supposed to do, gets 15 to 20 baptisms. And I think everybody wants that. But it's got to be very focused. And you'll achieve your goals. I'm going to run through these last ones in 5 minutes. You've got to populate your list. Brethren, you never hit a target you don't aim for. This right here will give you more baptisms than anything else I'm going to tell you about. But I'm going to tell your elders and deacons in just a minute how to do it. This is potent. If you do this right, this will work. Every church that does this gets results. It's called the target list. You want to populate it. This is not a house-to-house list. This is something different. And it's going to involve every church member. It's very, very effective. Number 7. By the way, this is the North Jefferson Church of Christ. They baptized 17 people in 6 months. And notice they're holding the cards. That's where they got them. It works. Very, very effective. Number 7, get everybody involved. Every member of this church. Now, not 80-20. We're not doing that anymore. All right, because it fails. Every member of this church must be involved. There's something for everybody to do. Some work with new converts. Some work with door knocking. Some work with house-to-house, heart-to-heart. Some are going to work with cards. Some people are going to work with the evangelism table. We're going to get people everywhere. Everybody's going to get a job. Elders are going to train you. They're going to tap you on the shoulder and say, this is what we need you to do. You're going to become a potent army. Number 8, we're going to prioritize. So all elders meetings start with evangelism. Not the leaky roof, not the parking lot, not the basement, not the paint, not the pew, not sister so-and-so who's mad at brother so-and-so, not Mr. brother so-and-so because Daniel didn't shake their hand. He won't talk to him. None of that. That's the last thing we talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is the lost every time we meet. It becomes the most important part of our meeting. Number 9, we're going to take that meeting and we're going to publicize it to the church. We're not going to hide our meetings from the church anymore. When it comes to evangelism, we're going to push it and praise it. What gets pushed gets praised. What gets praised gets pushed. So the evangelism strategy of Warner Robins is known by every church member. Everybody's on board. Everybody, Dave, you and I talked about this, how important this is. That we do not hide our evangelism strategy in an elders meeting. And that's what almost every church does. No, they don't know what's going on. Now, there are some things the church doesn't need to know. Only elders need to know. And we respect that. This isn't one of them. This is congregational. Everybody should know about it, and we should be talking about it. And lastly, we got to pray about it. We got to pray about evangelism. I was at Jacksonville, and I know I'm just a member there. I'm not a preacher, brethren, at Jacksonville. I'm a member. And Robert said, hey, Rob, would you get the closing prayer? I said, sure. I got up there and I said, Father, every Sunday morning, we have Jerry Conley in our pews. Father, help us reach him. Father, he's lost. Father, help this church reach Jericho. Can we pray that prayer? We ought to see the eyes of the members after I prayed that prayer. My, could we do that? We baptized him 3 months later. Why don't we pray about the lost? Why don't we pray? We pray about everything else. Lord, keep them safe. Lord, keep me safe. Lord, keep me safe. Lord, keep us safe. I've never heard a prayer from a brother that didn't say, keep me safe. Why don't we pray about the lost? Pray about lost people. Pray that we reach them. Pray privately, pray publicly. Don't embarrass people. He wasn't in our pew. I wouldn't have done it if he was in our pew. But I want to pray for the lost. Thank you, everybody, for your kind attention. This has been a really good week. Really have enjoyed being with you. Just remember this one thing. You will never hit a target you don't aim for. Brethren, you can hit the bullseye. You can do it. And God bless you.
No need to stand yet.